come in, there is an actual threat. It's going from potential to actual because there are new generations of missiles being built. They could end up in hands of governments like Iran, North Korea. The Russians are as worried as anybody. And by the way, they may be talking tough about Afghanistan. They're being very helpful in supporting NATO in anything but military terms. And this is part of a new thing. There is a new initiative with Russia. And you're quite right. Russia sees it has an interest being with NATO rather than against it. And the new element for NATO is actually out of European NATO, where the missile shield is going to be. America is actually stepping away and saying, you, the Europeans of the EU, you of Russia's friends, have got to sort this out and perhaps even in certain aspects take a lead.
Robert Fox from the Evening Standard there. In a few moments, we're going to be joined by viewers on BBC One when Lateef will have all the latest news and sport. But if you're away from the television, you can watch BBC News live on the web.
NATO agrees a timetable for the withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan. The alliance says it aims to hand over security to Afghan forces by the end of 2014 if the conditions are right. But David Cameron insists there's a firm deadline for the withdrawal of British combat troops by 2015.
And the British public have been incredibly supportive and are very, very supportive of our brave armed forces and what they do. But I think they deserve to know that there is an end point, that this does not go on forever.
2 Britons are amongst the miners trapped underground in New Zealand. Rescuers say it's still too dangerous to enter.
The risk is huge. And the activity that's happening underground, I'm not prepared to put guys down there until it's a stable environment and we can bring these guys out.
The crash that closed Birmingham Airport, the pilot remains critically ill, but a donor liver pulled from the wreckage is successfully used. And in rugby, a victory for Scotland against the world champions at Murrayfield. Hello and good evening. NATO leaders have agreed a timetable for handing over control of security in Afghanistan to Afghan forces by the end of 2014. But the NATO Secretary-General said the alliance would not abandon the country and would continue to provide military and development support after that. David Cameron said there was a firm deadline for UK forces to halt combat operations in Afghanistan by 2015. Our defence correspondent Caroline Wyatt reports.
The signatures that may mark the beginning of the end of NATO's campaign in Afghanistan. The NATO Secretary-General and the Afghan President reaffirmed the alliance's long-term commitment, but also its intention to start handing over the lead role on security to the Afghans themselves, starting next year.
This process must be condition-based.